Welcome to the NHL preview show for 2025-26 season. We have friend of the program, I like to say very good friend of the program. He's our favorite Ranger fan. He does play-by-play for ESPN, college soccer, and many other sports as well. He does soccer as well for MLS and also for the World Feed for big time games with Tony Miola and so many other people. I'd like to welcome back to the program Joe Malfa, one of my favorite North Jersey guys. I like to say, Joe, how we doing, by the way?
I'm doing well. I appreciate the intro, the kind words. It's always funny, and like hearing my name with like NHL preview. It's like I get so bogged down in the world of soccer, and then I always appreciate getting to come on here, like talk some of my other passions where I just haven't been able to like get into broadcasting it yet.
Yeah.
So it's like this is where I can just I could kind of nerd out a little bit. And it's like yeah, I do have myself an NHL preview that people should hear because I am probably right. Just kidding, I'm probably wrong, but I'm going to at least assert my opinions and back them up, and we'll see how my draft goes tonight and how my fantasy team does this year.
I know. We both did Fantasy Hockey League. Shout out to Hayden Hellstrom, former board op and producer at 97.1, The Fan in Columbus, which you got kicked out of, which was unbelievable, by the way. So I will call out Hayden for that bullshit anyway. So that's why. All right. Before I want to get started with all the NHL news, how much fun is soccer this season this year for colleges? I know one thing, the NIL money is going everywhere. Has it been going really well in the soccer department, would you say?
It's got a trickle down, and it's got a knock-on effect between some schools that are able to tap into NIL and the rev share and some of the bigger programs that have had a longer-rooted history in college soccer and just kind of getting some of those players those streams to lure them there. And this is my first year being able to do it on the road versus being just at home, like the at-home kit for college soccer, and just getting to see the facilities and meet the coaches and see these guys. And it's really just interesting overall kind of college soccer's place in the ecosystem, because there are some instances where, I'll use Clemson, for example, because we got to tour their facilities and it was awesome. It was immaculate. The Clemson facilities and the infrastructure and the resources that these kids get, you don't got to worry about housing. You don't got to worry about nutrition. You don't got to worry about any of those things. And you come into a world-class facility like that, it's better than some MLS facilities. So you're much better off going the Clemson route or the Virginia route or any of these top programs than you are going to a third division MLS Next Pro or USL League One in some cases. While those places and leagues are growing, they just aren't simply as old as these college soccer places. And the funding that all these schools are getting through different sports do trickle down, do help the other sports, do help the Olympic sports. So it's been really interesting to see just the behind the scenes of where college soccer spot is in the ecosystem. And it's having an impact on the pro game, because you look at Inter Miami and sure, you've got all your Messi friends and the superpower guys out there.
Yeah.
But then you've also got Yannick Bright, who's just running wind sprints up and down the field. And Yannick Bright came through the college system. He went to New Hampshire of all places. And he just kind of fell through the cracks in the lower divisions of England and said, the lower divisions of Italy. And he's like, you know what? I'm just going to go over there. I'm going to get noticed. I'm going to get a degree. I'm going to get myself on the radar. He gets drafted later in the MLS draft, I think, later in the round. And he gets a shot in preseason. He impresses. And now he's starting next to Rodrigo De Paul and Sergio Busquets. So it's there is a place in the soccer ecosystem for college soccer, and it's growing, I think, because of all the additional resources that have gotten to go into college soccer now. So it's been fun.
Who would you say is the top college schools, like college soccer schools, would you say? Because you
said, yeah,
I always wondered that, because it's like everyone knows SEC is for football. Pac-12 was for everything else. And I always wonder, what are the top schools for soccer anyways when people look for recruiting wise, would you say?
Yeah, ACC is where it's at in college soccer. This year, I think there have been 5 different ACC schools who have had the number 1 ranking at some point. Even right now, like the Top Drawer Soccer Top 25 comes out Mondays. The coaches poll comes out Tuesday. So as we're sitting here recording this, in the Top Drawer Soccer poll today, another handful of ACC teams in the top 10. Like, it's just a staple where you're getting at least 4 or 5 teams, top 10, top 15 every single week. Right now, recently, last 5-ish years, Clemson's been the place to be. That's why I use them as the example. They've won 2 national titles in the last 5 years. Historically, Virginia's always been top notch, and they've got a new facility now as well that we also got to tour. My boys at Maryland have always been fantastic. Last one in Natty in 2018, always kind of in and around it in the Big Ten title conversations. And you can't have a conversation like this without mentioning Indiana. Indiana are arguably the most consistent, where in the sense that Maybe they haven't won it as recently or as much as they used to back in, early 2000s, late 90s, 80s. But a down year for Indiana is still like making the Sweet 16. Like they're just consistent, top notch, and So those are the big. I mean, anything in the ACC, there's a top half and a bottom half of the ACC, I think, and some of the non-ACC schools that are always big. Maryland, Indiana, Marshall, but random one. Marshall is always great. Always good in college soccer these last few years as they've really tapped into the international transfer market and stuff like that. So yeah, you definitely got your haves and have-nots. It is a little bit more random. Like you'll see High Point in the top 10.
I've heard of them.
You'll see if Vermont won the national title last year and they're number one again now because they're having another good season. So like you get some random ones, which always makes college soccer fun because you get those fun runs in college basketball in the tournament when you see a Florida Gulf Coast, but a Florida Gulf Coast will never actually have a chance at winning a national title in basketball. That type of team, small school where it's fun to learn about, will actually win it in college soccer sometimes, and it's always interesting.
That is cool anyways. So definitely keep an eye on when Joe Malfa is doing a college soccer game because you never know what you're getting. I know we can't bet it because we don't want to have Joe Malfa lose anything, but let's say this. Enjoy the game, as I like to say.
Yeah, this Friday night should be a good one. It's Clemson and NC State. Again, the top drawer soccer poll different from the coaches poll. There's some controversy there. Some people don't like the coaches poll. Some people do like the coaches poll. But per the top drawer soccer poll that came out today, it's number 5 NC State, number 9 Clemson, top 10 matchup coming up this Friday night. It's at 7:30. I should know this. I'm looking at my phone. It's 7 p.m. ACC Network on Friday. So there you go.
Tune in. Joe Malfa, recurring guest of the pod, and friend of the program of the pod, I'd like to say. All right. We had to talk soccer because you are our soccer guy as well, but I didn't want to bog you down just doing a whole soccer episode. I like to make sure you spread your wings.
This is my creative outlet. This is where I get a chance to, like I said before, this is my opportunity to come out here and just sort of like, it's like a dog when you get the zoomies and you just gotta run. Yeah, I need to do that sometimes with my like other takes, and I know you're always my outlet for that. So
yes, I always tell this to people. If you want to come in and just knock the door down, so we have replacement doors. We're like the UFC. Whenever you see like fights on Ultimate Fighter between the coaches and stuff, and this door gets broken, we have another door anyway, so we're good. So Joe, you're always allowed on. All right, big NHL news. What are your thoughts on Connor McDavid getting paid 2-year deal, $25 million?
I think it tells me two things. Yeah, it tells me two things. It tells me that he is what we always thought he was, which is a selfless, driven by the Stanley Cup type of guy, who sees this little window now before the new cap takes hold as, all right, let's go do this. We've been so close these last 2 years. I'm willing to take a little pay cut. Let's go do this. Tom Brady did it. That's why Tom Brady's got 7 rings, right? So he is driven by winning. You hope behind the scenes, like we always oftentimes see too many stories of players going broke, and that's why players get their money when they can. But with his endorsements, with everything else that he does with Canada, like I don't think the dude's in a bad spot. So whether he was making 12.5 this year or 18.5 this year, like Kirill Kaprizov, I think he'll be all right. So it tells me what we've already known, which is he's a competitive guy who cares more about winning than anything else right now. It also tells me that it's going to be really interesting in 2 years. Because he could have, to my understanding of the contract rules and the salary cap, he could have agreed to a deal that would have kept him there long term and would have had his salary tethered to the cap. So, just to keep the number simple, if he signed a contract where just he makes 20% of the salary cap and the salary cap went up by 10 million, then he would get an extra 2 million tacked onto his deal. So that, to my knowledge, is allowed and something he could have done, but he didn't do it. So there was an avenue there that he did not take. That's what I've been like reading, hearing, understanding of previous contracts and players who have done this. So it tells me that he is committed to winning, but he's also sort of giving Edmonton an ultimatum like, hey, I took a pay cut so we can win here in the next 2 years. You also got to make sure you prove to me in these 2 years that I should spend the next 10 years beyond that here. Otherwise, I'm pretty certain that Toronto will want me, that New York will want me, that you insert a different team here, they'll want me. Who would not want Connor McDavid? So it was interesting. It tells me that he is who we've always thought he was. He wants to win now. He's going to help them out. But if they don't do right by him and get it done in these 2 years, he might be gone, and that'll be interesting.
Am I a selfish guy because I hate it because he just signed a new deal before free agency ever began?
Maybe.
Because I kind of want to see a sweepstakes, honestly.
Yeah.
I kind of want it. Like I said this to Gavin Spittle, who's host of Spits and Suds. I want a decision. Network television, no matter where it was, it's on CBC, TSN, Sportsnet, ESPN, TNT. I think I'm forgetting a network, but forget it. Or Amazon. I want a decision between Connor McDavid where he wants to spend his next 10 years of his career because I think it'll be perfect for hockey. I feel like we need some drama and plus ratings, and people will put eyeballs on it because I feel like hockey is really at spot right now. I know it's nowhere near the NBA, but I feel like they're gaining NHL's gaining more and more new fans because how much the playoffs are, how much incredible the last two Stanley Cup finals are, how more people is like, I don't want to watch the NBA because no one wants to play and they play all the time. Wouldn't you agree? We want a little bit more drama coming up in this next year's free agency.
For sure. It would have been interesting, but I think you still might get that. That's the thing. I think like that's why the 2-year, $12.5 million, like it almost keeps that door open to still happen, which is why this was so interesting to me. Like when there was like a 30-minute gap between what I think Elliot Friedman initially had the report that he was agreeing to an extension, and then the details of it coming out. And in those 30 minutes, everybody's like, oh, what's it going to be? Is it going to be 20 million? Is it going to be 10 years? Like, it was all this conjecture. And then it was 2 years, $12.5 million. It's like, okay, like, sure. That's weird. So yeah, those are two things that told me, and we'll see where it goes. I mean, we'll get into it as we start talking preview of the season, but I think it's got implications on this year and beyond too. So
definitely for sure. Kirill Kaprizov, let's talk about that. I enjoy him as a player, honestly, because he's probably the only random hockey player who played for the Minnesota Wild. I don't mind anyways. I think he's incredible. 8 years, $136 million. That's insane, by the way. Am I right?
Yeah, it's another one of those, and this is going to sound like a cop-out answer. Right now, it's very jarring, but it might make sense in 4 years. Like depending on how much the cap goes up and how he progresses as a player, it almost might look like when Pat Mahomes signed his deal, and some people were like, "Oh, that's crazy," and some people were like, "Oh, well, but the cap is going up, and in 3-4 years, the Chiefs are going to have an insane bargain." So I'm not saying Kirill Kaprizov is the Patrick Mahomes of the NHL. I just mean contextually here, like it's. Right now, it's like, oh, that's kind of a lot, but also, with the way the salary cap is going, you might look back on this in 3-4 years while he's in the heart of that contract and be like, oh, they kind of got a steal on that one. So I cop out answer, but I don't know. It's something that we won't really know definitively for 2 or 3 years.
I think it'll be fun because I think that Central Division, you have star power, and I think it's the most entertaining division. Like I always tell those people, like, if you want to watch hockey, like I know the Metros, whatever, the Atlantics has everybody. If you want true entertaining hockey every night, the Central's got it. And
top to bottom,
top to bottom. No matter if you're a young star, a star that got traded to one team, they didn't want to resign, they got traded to their rival. There's storylines no matter what. Anyways,
always
for sure. All right. I think the other one that broke today was Zdeno Chara. Guy's number retired. Is going to get his number retired by the Boston Bruins. Can we say this is a reason why the Bruins need to sell some tickets this year? What do we say?
Hey, I mean, it's going to be a weird year, rare year for the Bruins. So that's not a bad shout. I didn't think of it in that context.
That's what I thought of it as.
But yeah, he's worthy of it. It's certainly one of the best and one of the most entertaining to watch because of his size and the slap shot. And I think one of the things I look forward to every year was Zdeno Chara All-Star Weekend skills challenge.
Yep.
See what the miles per hour was on that thing. So he's deserving. It'll be good for the Bruins crowd. But yeah, that's an interesting shout because I don't know where the Bruins really stack up this year in terms of anything.
I don't know either, but we will get into those divisions. So, all right. Other news. Are you happy with Mike Sullivan as the next head coach for your New Year's?
Oh, thrilled. I mean, like homerism aside, which
no, I would like your homerism because this is your creative outlet. You like to say,
keeping the homerism aside, just objectively, I think you can argue, given his history with, I mean, not only with the Penguins, but also with what he's done with USA Hockey, you can argue that the biggest acquisition in the NHL this entire offseason was the Rangers getting Mike Sullivan as a head coach. More than any other player, more than any other head coach hire, you can make that.
Flyers with Rick Tocchet, though, this is number 2 for me.
Sure. But you can make the case that is the biggest offseason acquisition, player, coach, whatever, of any. Almost like when the Cubs got Theo Epstein, to shout out your boys back then. When they got Theo Epstein, people around the league were like, forget the players, forget the managers. This was the biggest acquisition of this offseason in Major League Baseball. That is how I felt about Mike Sullivan when the opportunity arose. And I think it's a home run for the Rangers because the coaching has been interesting lately. They've hired guys who have come in and done well, but have burnt out quickly because they were looking for quick fixes. When they hired Quinney, it was at almost a decade ago.
Yeah, it was 19 was his first year.
Yeah, so it was 7 years ago. Shoot. When they hired him, it was when they were turning the page. It was after the infamous letter and when they were rebuilding, and they thought that he would be the good guy to kind of help bridge that gap. And he was. He got them to a point where he bridged that gap, and they sort of started competing. And in that kind of fake 2020 year, they actually made the playoffs. People forget. They lost that 3-game series, whatever. Then after that, you turn the page and you're like, all right, we have a team here that can actually win something. So who do you go and hire? You go hire Gerard Gallant and somebody that can actually go ahead and get it done now. What's Gerard Gallant's fatal flaw? He's not really ever been with a team for more than a couple of years because he wears on you quickly. Then they usher him out the door. They bring in Lavi. What's Lavi's biggest flaw? He wears on a team very quickly, and you usher him out the door within a couple of years. So the way things have gone, they hired Quinn knowing he had an expiration date because he was there to be a bridge coach.
You forgot the other one, too. Alain Vigneault, too.
Before that, though.
Alain Vigneault and Tortorella, too.
Right. But like, I just mean in the last, like, ever since, I think there's a before and after for the Rangers. Before the letter and the rebuild and after. So just after that, Quinn hired as a stopgap to build and bring along young guys.
Just a name.
Gallant hired to come in and just try to win, and that flame would burn out bright when it burned out because that's how he's always been in his career. And same thing with Lavi. So each of the last 3 coaching hires had a definitive expiration date of maybe 3 years. This is the first coach they hired. And now to your point, even going back further to Torts, to Vigneault, those are guys who had been in their spots for a couple of years each. This is the first hire they've probably had in almost a decade and a half, 2 decades,
where you can 20 years.
Just about where you could see the coach being in the position for a decade. Like this legitimately could be the last head coach hire they have to make in the 2020s, at the very least in the 2020s and maybe into the 2030s. So that wasn't the case for the last few coaches. So that's why I think it was significant more than anything else, is that it can provide them a stability. And if there's any issues this year or next, it'll be Chris Drury to go, and it'll be Sullivan's team.
Definitely. I made the tree of coaches you guys have had. Tom Rennie since post-lockout. Tom Rennie, Torts, AV, David Quinn, Gallant, Lavi, Sullivan. 2 of these coaches have coached the Philadelphia Flyers.
So in 2020 and 2033, you know who to expect. It'll be Mike Sullivan walking through those Flyers doors.
If he walks through the Flyers door, you could go back to this NHL preview 2025-26. Trevor had it first anyways. So I go by this for the Rangers. I went to the Rangers Stars game last year in Dallas. I was seeing fire Drury banners by Ranger fans who flew across, or they were in town for the game. I was like, come on, Ranger fans, it's not that red. And then I hear from him, he was like, yeah, if he messes up this time this year, it's his fault anyway. He's on the chopping block at least.
Yeah.
That's
it. I mean, there's nothing to add. That sums it up.
It's like you have 2 of the best stars of all time who played great with the Buffalo Sabres in the same division. Buffalo Sabres, Danny Briere and Chris Drury. Who's going to get fired first? We can put our money on Chris Drury. Hopefully not this year at least. So, all right, let's do this Metro Division prediction. We'll start with the Metro since we do root for teams in this division. Here's what I have: Hurricanes, Rangers, Capitals. Those are the 3 teams I have making the playoffs. Am I crazy to say the Rangers making the playoffs?
I actually have that in the same order. I've got the Hurricanes first. Steelers huge, still a loaded team. Yep. DeAndre Miller, a sneakier ad than people realize. The only question for them, obviously, is Anderson and Kochetkov in goal. Like, it wasn't a great pairing last year.
No.
I was surprised they ran it back. They did run it back. I think they're banking on Kochetkov's development and him taking a step, which if that happens, then it answers the question. There's no question about this team's ability in the regular season under Brendan Moore. It's just a matter of what they do when they get to the postseason and run into one of the top teams, whether it was the Rangers the last couple of years or the Panthers the last couple of years. Like they always run into either the Rangers or the Panthers, and then it goes south. Regular season wise, I don't think anybody's touching them. And I I don't think this is a stretch to say. I think the Hurricanes have a chance at the President's Trophy this year.
I like that. I like that take already.
That is the way this division is stacked up and the way their schedule stacks out because of it, and knowing the team they are and the ads they made. Whether it translates into a deep playoff run in a Stanley Cup, I don't know, but just the nature of how some of the other top teams stack up, I think the Canes can win the Presidents. I think the Capitals really outkicked their coverage last year.
Yeah.
And come back down to earth. But coming back down to earth is still that sweet spot of making the playoffs. This is one that I went back and forth on as I was preparing for this today, whether I had the Devils or the Capitals in that third spot. I went with the Caps just because I think they have a much higher floor than the Devils, but the Devils have a higher ceiling. So I think the Devils will make the playoffs also out of the Metro, but I just feel better about saying the Caps are one of the top 3 spots and the Devils would be a wild card. And then, yes, rounding it back, Rangers are the 2 for me in the Metro. I think the Sullivan bounce is a real thing. I think JT Miller is the captain plus Sullivan. It adds a fire to this group that wasn't there last year. Mm-hmm. I legitimately think the entirety of last season for the Rangers was a hangover from the way the Panthers snatched their souls in the conference final in 2024.
Which we did talk about on the show last year.
Yes, we did. And it played out that way. They got rid of some of the dead weight. They shuffled the deck a little bit in terms of the personnel. Good veteran ads like Connor Sheary. Gavrikov, of course, a massive signing. I think that's twofold. It gives them a better defensive presence in front of Shesty, and it also gives Adam Fox what I'm about to say, I don't want it to be misconstrued. It gives Adam Fox the ability to be more like Cale Makar. He is not Cale Makar. I think he might be one of the closest things to Cale Makar, but there is only one Cale Makar, and he is far and above everybody else. But it gives Fox the ability to play more like that. And it opens the door on the power play. It opens the door for more and 5-on-5 and him joining the attack. So every ad they made, plus Sullivan, plus Zibanejad having a bounce back year you would expect, plus Panarin having a bounce back year you would expect. I think they're the 2 in the division for me.
I have that same too. I think it was for me. I don't buy the Devils. This is my bias. You have to go through hell to get another generational goalie, and I want them to go through hell because they had Martin Brodeur for 20, 30 years almost. You can't have it both ways.
Hey, the Rangers did. We went right from Lundqvist to Shesterkin.
You had Richter in between. You had Mike Dunham and a few other shit.
Well, it's true. We had it in between of Richter and Lundqvist. We went straight from Lundqvist to Shesty. That year that I referenced earlier, that 2020 year where we made that fake 3-game playoff, it was Lundqvist to Shesterkin, and we just ran from there. So
I know that's the funny thing. That's great. And then unfortunately, he was like, we had to choose someone, and they chose the right goalie.
Yeah,
I'm also glad we never saw Lundqvist in a Capitals unit.
Thank God, yes. Glad he's healthy with the heart thing, and that's the most important. But hey, now that we can look back on it, it's like, hey,
would that have been worse than Brodeur wearing a Blues jersey? You think?
I will say no, only because Brodeur was a Devil for longer.
Okay.
So I think that one was still more jarring.
Okay. I just got to ask. Anyways.
Yeah. It's still, it would have been weird, but
it's like Matt Sundin wearing a Vancouver Canucks jersey almost.
There's definitely like some sort of formula and equation you could use with if a player was with Team A for X amount of years, then you know where I'm going. Like if they go to a team, then it's X% more weird because of it, and that was the Brodeur thing.
Definitely for sure. Blue Jackets, I think they're a good story. I don't know what's going to happen with them. I think that team's on the rise. I think both PA teams are going to be bad this year. I'm going to say that. I am
bad. Yeah, and I don't know. I don't want to jump the gun here on what you might have had for the rundown. I know you said to come ready with another storyline that I might be interested in.
Yes, go for it.
Penguins are so I came in with one per your request. Sidney Crosby trade watch is, I think, one of the big stories I'm looking at this season. It's happening. Don't know when. Don't know to who.
Who do you want? Because let's get the dartboard out.
Well, I mean, it's going to depend obviously on cap space. This might sound crazy, and this is where you got to really look at the numbers, look at what you'd have to trade. But it's hard not to think Oilers after seeing what McDavid did on his contract today, right? Like it's a case of, okay, when we saw how odd it was that it came out that it was only $12.5 million, you ask yourself why. And what have the Oilers done these last couple of years? They've been aggressive at the deadline so that they can go on a run. He's going to be the biggest fish or most talked about fish at the deadline this year. He knows what it takes to win a Stanley Cup. Like, you could start connecting those dots there in the relationship that Crosby and McDavid have from playing together with Canada and stuff. So I don't know that it's going to go that route, but that is going to be, to your point, which you mentioned before, the two PA teams are going to have a lean year. It's going to be a bad year for the Penguins, and it's a matter of time before Crosby gets traded, and it will be a massive. It's going to be like when St. Louis got traded to the Rangers, a guy who is certainly toward the end of his career. He's an all-time great, although St. Louis is not as great as Sidney Crosby. I don't want to conflate that. Somebody who is a genuine Hall of Famer. I'll put it that way. Genuine Hall of Famer is more fair, not necessarily all-time great. Toward the end of his career, but still had plenty left in those legs, and will make an impact on a team. He came to the Rangers. We made it. We made the run that we did to the Stanley Cup. So, like, Crosby can have that impact on a team this year. So, to your point, Penguins are going to suck. Crosby can be in the market. There's going to be a lot of possible suitors. I don't think the Hurricanes would be a suitor because they're in division. I don't think the Rangers would be a suitor because we're in division. I'm looking out of division. You look at the Leafs. I think you look at Canadian teams. Sidney Crosby going to a Canadian team and ending Canada's Stanley Cup drought is, I think, the only thing that Sidney Crosby has left to accomplish in his career. He's not winning another cup with the Penguins. He's already won multiple cups with the Penguins. He's already won a gold medal. The only thing that he can do to put next to his resume now is ending Canada's Stanley Cup drought. Even if the Calgary Flames turned out to be the number one team in Canada this year, I'm not saying that. I don't think they're a playoff team. I'm just using them as an example. If by some miracle they turn out to be the number one team in Canada in hockey this year, Sidney Crosby might go there. Like, I think winning a Stanley Cup for Canada is the last thing that he really has to do.
This is what I have. Leafs, Montreal. I know he doesn't want to play there. Put him in that Montreal uniform.
That would be, yeah. Sidney Crosby in an original 6 uniform would be something.
I want him in an original 6, not like that. Avs, people have said that many years. I heard TSN people want him to go to Florida already. I was like, no,
stop that.
That is TSN. That's not me. That is TSN. Flyers, they have a new head coach. They got pieces on the way. I think it's going to be a bad year anyways. I think your bottom three of this division is going to be Flyers, Penguins, Icelanders at least.
I mean, pick an order, any order. It's all believable. Those three are going to be the bottom three teams, and the order really doesn't matter that much.
as what I like to say, we are as an Eagle fan, we are sacrificing the Flyers so for another playoff for our Super Bowl. Anyway, sorry. All right, Atlantic Division. I think this is the most because we both live down here. I'm going to go first. Hear me out. Leafs, Panthers, Lightning. I have 2 wild cards out of this division, by the way. Canadians and Red Wings. I don't hate it.
Yeah, I don't hate it.
Thank you. I try to keep my picks the same as I was on the Panther playoff preview show. I think it's do or die time for Red Wings to make the playoff. It's been 10 years.
Yeah.
If John Gibson ain't bringing us into the playoffs, Steve Yzerman needs to get out. Just get out. Like
I have 4 playoff teams out of here. I didn't go as far as 5 like you did because like I said before, I have either the Capitals or Devils. One of them will be the 3 in the Metro. One of them will be a wild card. I have the Leafs 1. I think they're also geared up to be another good regular season team. I think Matthew Nyes comes in, had a little bit of a breakout last year. He'll step up, not quite into the Marner role, but like he'll help ease the blow of Marner.
Yeah.
Stolars and Wall was a good tandem. Wall, he's still away on that personal leave that he took, so obviously don't know what's going on there. Hope all's well with him and his family, but they don't have an elite goaltender. What made them good is similar to what the Bruins had a couple of years ago, where you had a good tandem, and now the tandem is in question right now. So that's a knock on the Leafs. I think they'll still be fine. Give me them first in the division. Lightning second for me. I think they're just still solid all around. You got Cooch, you got Gensel, you got Hedman still, Vasi in goal. Great coaching, good supporting cast. It feels like death taxes and the Lightning being top 2 in the Atlantic Division. And then I've got the Panthers 3. I don't think they fully crater. No Barkey is going to suck.
No Kachuk until December is my big one.
Kachuk until December hurts a lot by itself. It hurts more in conjunction with Barkov being out. I think they can tread water. I think they can make the playoffs. I think that they can possibly still win a round or 2 in the playoffs, but then I think that's where it ends. Like I don't see them making it to a conference final this year. I don't see them certainly making it to a Stanley Cup final. It's very difficult to make 3 Stanley Cups in a row. People always talk about winning 3 in a row, and the Lightning had a chance against the Avs that year. Mm-hmm. But the thing that makes it tough is you have to play that deep into the year in, year out.
Yeah.
what people are forgetting, I think, in the conversation with the Panthers is they've already played in 3 straight Stanley Cups. They didn't win the first
4.
one. So like this would be 4 straight Stanley Cup. They're looking to win a third, but they would make it to a fourth, which is absurd. It takes a toll on you. I don't think they have a shot. Still a playoff team, though. Still good enough for that. Give me them in third.
I like that.
Sorry, and the Canadians. The Canadians are the team that I have as a wild card out of there. I do think the Red Wings still fall short. As much as they need to get into your point, I don't think they've got top to bottom the team to do it yet.
I just think Steve Yzerman needs to get his, I don't know what's up with the Red Wings if Steve Yzerman's playing at all, if the Yzer plan's not working, but it's like, hey, if the Ilitch family's not going to give money, you got to find a way to get some more money, at least, for real. Canadians last year was a great story. Making the playoffs was very good for the league, I like to say. And my big thing with the Panthers, I can finally say this. I think I'm with you. I'm worried about, as we are on the day of the eve of the season to start, I want to know how they could get through October and November and get to December.
Yeah.
I think American Thanksgiving is your key for the Panthers, where they're going to be at, honestly, because they have the goalie, they have young players, but they don't have their 2 true superstars of good old Barkov and Kachuk. Yeah, I just think those are the big things that they're missing. I really want to see how they're going to carry a team with Marchand pretty much leading with Ekblad, and also want to see what the blue line looks like. But that's been my big thing anyways. They've lost a lot. They've re-signed one of their young stars. You're relying on so many young players for the Panthers just step up for where your big players are going to come anyways.
You're counting on not regressing, even though you have a lot of instances on your roster where you can have a regression this year.
Yeah, that's the thing. And I also throw this big concern out. There's Olympic break, by the way, which I forgot to use, by the way. That is a bad job by me. Are we concerned if Kachuk gets back in December? Bill Zito is also one of the GMs for USA Hockey. Are we going to have a problem with players who just got back from injury and want to play on the national team while your team's GM is part of the national team? Are we going to have a problem, you think?
Could. I mean, we kind of saw it this year with the Four Nations a little bit, where some of those injuries spilled over, some of those decisions spilled over. Like it's possible. I don't want to like cast those aspersions without knowing when the time comes, but it's certainly something to run into. And even a simple decision of, all right, let's imagine Vinny Trocheck is on the U.S. team again, like he just was, and he's maybe 80%. Mm-hmm. Is Sullivan going to put him in for those extra shifts at the end of a game, or is he going to put in a couple extra, I don't know, hurricanes and grind them down a little bit? Like, I don't know. You hope that they're not taking those decisions into account, but like your subconscious does some funny things in those moments. So I don't know. It's a very interesting situation. And you can see it's as fun as the Four Nations was last year. You could almost see the NHL's reasoning for having not allowed NHL players in the Olympics previously. Yeah. I want to go out and make sure I say that I fully support and love the fact that NHL players play in this. It's outstanding. We saw it in a small dose last year, how awesome the Four Nations was. So I do not want this to change. I want NHL players in the Olympics, but you do now see the other side of it a little bit.
Yeah, I think the big injury that everyone got really mad was John Tavares getting a knee injury during that. I think it was like 14 anyways, and 18 like, we're not going anyways. I totally forgot about the Olympics that those last 2 times anyway. So that's my big thing. People criticize me. People call me the rain cloud. I'm not being a rain cloud. I'm being a realist here. We need to watch out anyways, and people got mad at me. So I think that's a big red flag that no one's waving yet, but we will wave it on this pod anyways, that we should probably watch out for anyways. So your thoughts on USA? Do you think this is the year they have to win the gold, right?
I think especially the way that last year ended in the Four Nations, as small of a tournament as that was and how things went, to have beaten Canada in the first meeting and then lost in the title game. Yeah, I think you got to go ahead and get it done. All
right. So Mike's is Dolan happy that Mike Sullivan's that good for USA Hockey on the side?
It's probably a good it's probably a good advertisement, I suppose, for your hiring decision for your team.
I gotta make sure he's fine with it, because I know he does not like players going in the Olympics anyways. All right, let's do the West. I think this is probably my favorite division to watch as a side. Who's your bottom division? Is it the Blackhawks?
Probably. Yeah, I mean, it's like building, but not there yet. And just the way that division is stacked, it feels like there has to be a doormat, and it feels like they could be the doormat.
Do you think Connor Bedard is Tony Almonte? We have compared him on this podcast. Is there kind of like, he's good, but he's not that true superstar we've talked about?
Oh, see, he hasn't had a supporting cast, and you see what he could do in flashes. And like when McDavid first started with the Oilers, it was similar, where like you could see that he was special in doses.
Yeah,
but he didn't have much around him, and then they built it around him, and look what they've done now. I'm not by any means saying Bedard is McDavid. I don't think that's no conversation, but I think he's a genuine superstar. I would say that you look at Hughes and the Devils, and maybe that's a comparison, not in terms of how they play as players, but in terms of where they kind of rank in the league pecking order. Like, I think that's his floor. Mm-hmm. And I think there would be people who do consider Hughes a superstar. I don't it's just what is and what isn't a superstar, because like there's McDavid, there's McKinnon, there's what Crosby was in his prime. Is Panarin a superstar? I don't think so, but like he's a star, he's an all-star. Yeah. He's a guy that helps you win. So it just depends on the definition of and how where the cutoff is on these certain tiers that we just arbitrarily construct. But I do think he's still a superstar and can be, for sure. I don't think he'll ever get to McDavid, but yeah.
I don't think he's McDavid anyways. That's what I've been saying. I just think he's like he's a nice winger anyways. That's my thing. Because I look at him as like, he's like Tony Almonte. You see Roenick and you get Chelios, you have a team at least, you know?
Yeah.
That's how I see it. When Eric does it.
Like there will be people who disagree with you, and I think I would, if I was pushed and dug deeper, disagree with you. But like, it's not outlandish.
No,
it's not outlandish.
That's how I look at him. It's also the Blackhawks are bad anyways, and Almonte was there when they were just bad anyway. So I have to like compare it to someone at least anyway. So Canada Hockey can come after me no matter what. All right, this is what I have for my Central Division. Hear me out. Avs, Stars, Wild. Your two wild cards are Jets and Predators. I think Nashville has to bounce back. Am I right?
Yeah, they got to bounce back. I mean, we were kind of in alignment for the most part. We had the same three in each for the Eastern Conference. Say your three again. Stars.
Avs number 1, Stars number 2, Wild number 3.
Wild 3. So we don't have the same three here. I've got Stars 1. Okay. I think they are arguably the most well-rounded roster in the NHL. They have
new head coach, though.
New head coach. Yeah. New head coach. They have the top end talent of Rantanen and Robertson. They have an elite goaltender in Ottinger. You go down the list. I think they are truly the most complete team in the NHL. It's a question with the new coach that could go one of two ways. We saw Carberry come in and win the Caps the President's Trophy last year. We saw Laviolette come in and win the Rangers the President's Trophy the year before that. Like, it can go that way. And that's why I think it does go that way, because of the makeup of the team, and that's why I have them 1. I have the Jets 2, but the Avs are a better team than the Jets. I think similar to the conversation we had earlier about the Hurricanes, I just think the Jets are a regular season team, and they crushed in the regular season, and we saw it last year. So I think there's a pullback from what they did last year. But like they're still, for me, the number 2 team when the standings play out. But the Avs are the better team. The Avs are the third team in those top 3 in the Central for me that clinched that third playoff spot from the division. This Avs team, and I think this comparison will make sense, it has holes. Mm-hmm. It's almost reminiscent for me of the era for the Penguins between like 08, 09 when they went to those cups, and then when they won the back-to-back, and was it 2016, 2017?
Yeah.
That stretch from like 2010 to 2015, where you always knew the Penguins were still making the playoffs, but they never really felt like a cup contender. But you knew that eventually they would enter another cup window when they replenished the roster. That's where I think the Avs are. They still have McKinnon, they still have Makar, they still have other talent. But like there was a little bit of the roster churn, getting rid of Rantanen. They're still certainly a playoff team. And
Landeskog's back finally.
Landeskog's back. And you know that Makar and McKinnon are still there long term. So like within 2 or 3 years, I think they're right back to being a cup favorite. I just don't think they're there right now. I think they're currently in that black hole in between of what we saw for the Penguins between those 2 different cup windows.
So the Phil Shero, I'm going to take a defenseman over a forward every time. I was thinking about it. I was like, wait, let me think. I saw a documentary about this anyway. I just think I think the Avs have the superstars, and they should be winning this division, and the Stars are going to have to be 2 anyway. So, and plus, I feel Minnesota has to make the jump anyways.
Right, and I was going to say, like, I think Minnesota is still a playoff team for me. They're one of my 2 wild cards in the West. But I just I still think it's just a crowded division, like we talked about. It's one of the best, and it's Stars for me. It's the Jets being a good regular season team for me, and the Avs being probably the second best team in the division behind the Stars for me. So it boxes out the Wild, but they're still a playoff team, I think.
I think the Wild can be a fun team to watch. As someone who has
always,
I know.
You give a guy $18 million, you better be fun to watch.
He better be good, and also I give a reason why support your employer ESPN. Buy the NHL package, anyways. Please buy now, anyways. All right, I was waiting for that comment. All right, Blue. I think my bottom 3 in the division: Blues, Mammoth, Blackhawks. I don't trust the Blues with Montgomery. I just don't.
I don't trust them. I think they're just in a bad spot. And even when they went on those couple runs, they won the cup. They were a bad team that year. Let's not forget. Yeah. And they went on the run. The Mammoth could be frisky this year. They're just second year there now in Utah, but having an actual identity this year and a lot of good, fun, young talent. They will be in the playoff race till the end. Last year, the Blue Jackets, I don't think they were eliminated until the second to last day of the season, but it never really felt like the Blue Jackets were actually going to make the playoffs. That's what I feel about the Mammoth this year. Where I don't think we'll ever at any point feel like they're actually making the playoffs, but they won't have the little E next to their name on the website until the second to last day of the season.
Did you see their arena renovations? How steep the one end is?
It's wild. It is wild.
So I like to say this. Please be careful if you have lower bowl seats. Don't get hammered like we usually do. So I always say the Central Division, the Pacific Division are the good road trip cities. That's what I always say. So you have good hockey. So I'll say that. All right, Pacific. We have a new head coach in this division as well. We have 2 new head coaches. Vancouver's got a new head coach, Adam Foote, I believe. I could be totally wrong.
Yep, Adam Foote.
Wow, look at
there
me.
You go.
Ducks got Joel Quinville is back in the league. Flames, I think they're okay. All right, here's my 3. It's already in stone. We can predict it unless I could be dead wrong. Vegas, Edmonton, Los Angeles.
Same 3, and I think the 3 you could put in stone. I've got it flipped. I've got the Oilers 1, Knights 2, Kings 3. I said, I think I like the Knights, especially with Marner out there now. Their first line and their power play unit might be the best first line and the best power play unit in hockey. Beyond that, there are some questions.
Yes.
But that alone is enough to carry you to at least the number 2 spot. You have the number 1. I just think, and as much as we talked about how difficult it is to get to, a 4th straight Stanley Cup for the Panthers, right? It's going to be difficult to get to a 3rd straight Stanley Cup for the Oilers. But I think they have brought enough of the core back, plus made a lot of adjustments, like bringing in Mangiapane and other guys, where it's a newish team where they don't all have the same mileage on their legs from these last 2 years and might not suffer as much for it. And you also just have a superhuman in McDavid who could play hockey every single day and not ever tire. Goaltending is still a big question for me for them. I don't know how and why they have never addressed it. But again, the biggest wild card for the Oilers this year is Connor McDavid just signed for $12.5 million. So they're going to have flexibility when it comes time to get to the trade deadline again. And whether that is adding Sidney Crosby, like I hypothesized earlier, or whether that is going out and getting the biggest fish goaltender who is available, I just feel like they're going to do it again. And I know they know the importance of the home ice up there. I think they get the 1 and they're good again.
Who's your
I have the Kings 3. My last wild card. That's what I was getting at, because I said that I did say the Wild was my first. This is where I go off the board a little bit. I do not condone anything about Joel Quenneville's past. I am just talking about this in the context of an NHL preview show where I am asked to pick a playoff team. The Anaheim Ducks are very interesting to me.
Yes.
Their playoff odds are only at plus 230, which isn't insane. And that's something I might dip my toe in the water of. You added Chris Kreider. You added Jacob Trouba. I'm seeing a lot of my former Rangers there. You got a good veteran team. You've got a lot of good young talent. That with a coach like Quenneville will be pushed to make a jump. We talk about the importance of coaching in hockey and how it changes teams in a very weak division outside of those top couple of teams. Mm-hmm. Even the Kings, I think, can be had. They're going to, by default, I think, be the 3rd playoff team in that division, but they can be had. It's a weak. The West is weaker than the East, I think, top to bottom.
Yeah.
So it's the door's open, and the door's open for a coach like that with how good as a coach, not necessarily as a human being, as a coach, what he's done in his career. And again, like the likes of Kreider, Trouba, veteran players, young players
too.
A lot of young players that are making that jump. Like they just have an interesting mix where they can be a playoff team. Will they get bounced in probably 4 games in the first round to the Oilers? Yeah, probably, but they might make it. Like, so that is I think my most off the board playoff pick around the league is the Ducks sneaking in as the last wild card team in the West.
You're not the only one on this show who said that, by the way. My co-host Duncan Dennis said that, by the way. Ducks will make the play. I was like, all right, trust you on that one. So, what's your storyline for the 2025-26 season, by the way?
So I brought it up early. I jumped the gun on it, like I said, when you brought up the fact that the Penguins are sitting there. The 2 that I had coming in, again, just you told me come ready with storylines. I wasn't sure what you wanted to sprinkle them in. I kind of shot them off at the same time because they're sort of tethered together. The first one was going to be the Sidney Crosby sweepstakes. He's getting traded. The second one was going to be what the Oilers do with this window that Connor McDavid gave them. Because, again, the contract tells me there's a little bit of a mandate there. I'm giving you 2 years, team friendly. Let's make something happen. And they got to go out and make something happen now. And I think those 2 things can be paired together. There is in one silo, the Sidney Crosby trade sweepstakes. There is in another silo how aggressive the Oilers have to be and winning now with McDavid. And I think you could see the beams cross on that where you might have Sidney Crosby traded at some point to the Oilers. Those are the 2 storylines I'm watching. Beyond that, something else that you did bring up, there's going to be a definitive before and after the Olympics this year where there's going to, I don't know who it's going to be. The picture won't be clearer until about early January. I will guarantee you there will be a team that is in the top 3 of their division before the Olympics who ends up missing the playoffs. And there will be a team who is on the outside of the playoffs looking in who ends up in the top 3 of their division after the Olympics. There's going to be a faller and a riser. It's a shot in the dark. If I even tried to say who that could be, injuries will play a factor. We won't know how the teams look health-wise until December, January. But there will be a team that does not get back on the horse after the Olympics. Whether, look at the Rangers last year. The Rangers last year, they started really well. Then they sucked for a while. Then they kind of
sucked in December and November.
Then they kind of got good again. Then they stunk again. So there's going to be a team that is maybe second place in their division per se, and the Olympics just wrecks all their momentum and they never get it back. And there's going to be a team that is on the outside looking in that the Ducks might be the prime example. The Ducks might struggle early in the year, and Joel Quenneville, being the veteran coach that he is, might use that break period as almost an additional preseason in a way, quote unquote, and rallies them, and they go on a run post-Olympics. There's going to be a team that's in the top 2 or 3 of their division that falls out. There's going to be a team on the outside looking in that crashes the party. That is going to happen after the Olympics this year.
All right, I got many storylines. These are mine. Fans like us will get really mad at a streaming provider. I'll say that because of ESPN Plus is now the new ESPN thing. It's $30 a month.
I play the 5th. I can't.
I know. I will say that for you anyway. So please don't fire Joe Malfa. That's all I'm going to say. Please don't fire him.
Trevor Harris's words about the ESPN app, not mine.
Yes. Please, the views do not describe what I just said towards Joe Malfa. Just me. Just yell at me anyways, ESPN, or don't hurt my employer. I think fans will complain about that.
I will say though, plug. I have not had any issues with the app yet. I have bbeen able to use it to perfection. There's the WWE wing of the app now. I use that. I've had no issues, knock on wood. So I will say to counterbalance what you said, and also just my experience, it has been very simple for me to use. I know that not everybody has had that experience though, because I have friends who have been texting me complaining, and my response has been, "Hey, sorry, not a higher up at ESPN, just one of their voices, and not very good in terms of IT work. So your voice is heard. There's just nothing I can personally do for you. I can commentate on you trying to figure out using the app if you need me to, but that is about the extent of it for me."
If you want him to commentate on the app, please email it upperboldpodcast@gmail.com. Anyways, flood my emails right now. I think the Olympic storylines be huge. I think it's going to be good for the league at least, because NHL players have been over there. USA Hockey needs to win this gold medal badly. It's been since I've been living my life off the 1996 World Cup of hockey. Let's get it together, please, for real. Like, that's all I got to say. Glenn Gulson, I'm really concerned because this is the first time he's got real actual players as head coach. Last time he was head coach for the Stars were in bankruptcy, by the way. So this will be really interesting what he's going to do, at least, because they didn't have to worry about Joe Newton writing a check to keep the salary floor, at least. Let's say that.
And that's why when you said before, when talking about the Stars, you had them second in the division. I had them first. Like, that's why I think the talent they have, the new coach bump coming in, like they just feel like they can make a run for me. I mentioned it in the East that I thought the Hurricanes were the team for the President's Trophy. I think the Stars are the biggest threat. The reason that I think it's a little tougher for the Stars is because their division's tougher. But the Stars are their biggest threat, I think, for the President's Trophy.
I think I will give it to the Hurricanes. Just give it to them.
That's true. You don't want it. You don't want it.
Nobody wants. No, you print the T-shirts for somebody else, not me. Anyways, I think Tocchet will have an interesting year. I don't think he's going to go off like John Tortorella towards sometimes, but just keep an eye on those pressers. I think he's going to whip some young kids in the face anyways. Let's be honest for that. I think the Ducks will be entertaining, but I think they're going to make the playoffs. That's one thing I want to see. I want to see what Joe Quenneville, the hockey coach, is going to do with this roster. I want to see how Cutter Gauthier get along, at least. I think that's going to be the most entertaining thing. Edmonton, I think they're going to be in the sweepstakes for a goalie. I think it's going to be Jeremy Swayman, at least.
Oh, that's a good shout. Could be. Yeah, I mean, like you're looking. That's the type of team and type of goaltender you're looking at come the deadline to see what you can do. And another one that we've already referenced in this show. Not that I'm saying this goaltender could take him to the promised land, but when talking about the Hurricanes, they're again running it back with Anderson and Kochetkov, and I think what they're banking on is Kochetkov taking that developmental leap. Yep. If he takes that developmental leap where he is their out and out starter, Frederick Anderson could be somebody who's on the goaltender market. And you can, as we saw last year, now granted there were different contractual things at work, but when the Hurricanes traded Rantanen to another Cup contender in the Stars, I don't think they'll have an issue trading possibly Anderson to a Cup contender in the other conference. No. So like you don't have to be looking at necessarily goalies on non-contending teams. You could look at some contending teams if they have a tandem for that type of trade.
I have another one. I think the Avs will fire their head coach after losing the first round of the playoffs. So.
Like I said, they're in that window that I thought and if I'm not getting my years wrong, that's around the time that the Penguins, to what I was saying earlier, there was that kind of vacuum between when they won their cups, when they had their run end of the 2010s, and then won their back-to-back in 16-17. It was in that vacuum that eventually they had the coaching change that led to hiring Sullivan. So that kick-started their new era. So that's a good shout.
Yeah, I think that's going to happen. Here's another one. I got a few other ones. Bruins are going to blow this up, by the way. I think they're going to trade more players away.
Yeah, I think they started it last year. You don't stop there. You go all the way.
No, I think everyone. I think Pasternak, watch out. I think he's going to be on the trade line, including Charlie McAvoy. Other league thing. We went 2 outdoor games in the state of Florida. Who's going to have it worse getting out of the parking lots in Miami or Tampa Bay? Let's be honest here with that one.
So I can't speak to the Tampa Bay because I've never been to that stadium and I don't know the parking situation. I can't imagine it's worse than Miami, but maybe it is. So like Miami's terrible.
Yes.
So I would imagine Miami is still the answer to that. But again, that's with no actual knowledge of how it actually works in Tampa.
Are you excited for the outdoor games to come down to Florida at least?
I am. Like, I think it's always fun. And like, it's just to see new places, right? Like the outdoor game in and of itself used to be special. Now it's overdone to a point where I don't want to say it's not special anymore because it's still entertaining. It's still nice to see. But like what makes it special now is going to new places, and they're going to new places. So
would you be surprised if they go back to Lake Tahoe again? I feel like they just really run that back and just have a hockey weekend there.
Yeah, doing that in the pandemic was bad luck. Although they weren't happy with the sun.
No. Just do it at night. I think you'll be good. It'll be a good party scene at least. All right, Joe. I'm not going to do cup unless you want to predict who's your cup final at least.
I'll give it to you. I mean, like I'm not really going out on a limb crazily here. Like I've already alluded to the teams that I really like this year.
Yeah.
I do think the Oilers get back there. I think they reshuffle the deck enough. McDavid is still McDavid, and he's just going completely stupid in his prime right now. Mm-hmm. I think they get back. The East is trickier.
Yeah.
The East is way wide open. If you told me the Lightning made it, I wouldn't be surprised. If you told me the Rangers made it, I wouldn't be surprised. If you told me the Hurricanes made it, I wouldn't be surprised. I gotta go with the Hurricanes. They've burned me before. They've lost when they shouldn't have lost before. There's that stigma for Brind'Amour. At some point, the monkey is off the back.
Yeah.
And if there's a year to do it, this is the year to do it. Down year coming for the Panthers at the end of this terrific run. The Lightning aren't what they quite were, but they're still good. The Rangers still in year one of a new coach, even though they'll be better than last year. Like if not now for the Hurricanes, then when? So we're running back that Oilers Hurricanes Stanley Cup final that we saw 20 years ago. And I do think McDavid gets the Stanley Cup this year.
With less penalties and with slashing at least. How about that?
Yeah, so Oilers over Hurricanes for me.
All right, give me... You're going to laugh at me. I want to say it's the Leafs year, but I'm not going to do that, by the way. I think it's going to be the Stars. I'm going to say Rangers.
Okay. Thank you.
I'm not saying it because you're on here, but I'm just trying. The Panthers don't give me a check, so I can say whatever I want on this show.
Stars are going to be right there. I think the Stars are the team that's, I suppose, I guess.
Yeah, I think they will learn how to play physical hockey, not game one of the playoffs, but all year at least. Thankfully, not be a softie at least. I think this will be a fun playoff series.
They're the biggest threat for the Oilers for sure.
Yes, I think. Yeah. I think what are we going to do? If we go 3 years in a row, I'm going to be like, all right, fire up the electric chair for Trevor in May again. So, all right, Joe Malfa, what do you got going on this week? I know you got soccer this week.
Yeah, this week, Friday night, 7 p.m., ACC Network, Clemson, NC State. This weekend,
check them out.
My Saturday games are World Feeds only and WSL. And I'm off Sunday. I got a random off Sunday, and I'm going to enjoy that. So just the big one this week is Friday night, ACC Network, 7 p.m., Clemson, NC State, top 10 matchup in college soccer.
We may have some people listening out the world. What game are you doing again for NWSL?
I'm in that kind of stretch now with the travel I've had this weekend where I got to actually look at my schedule and don't know offhand. North Carolina, Washington is my NWSL World Feed this weekend.
All righty then. Joe, we'll have you again later on this season. I think we'll do it before the Christmas break if you're cool with that.
Let's do it. That's right around the time where we'll kind of be able to see how dumb we sounded today or how smart we sounded today.
That is true.
That's when things usually start to take shape. So
that is true. Joe Malfa, friend of the program. I like to say welcome back to the show. We'll have you more hockey this year.
Absolutely.